In this video, I'm going to show you how to install a shower valve using PEX-a water lines. And if you're new to this channel, my name's Josh. This channel is all about DIY to save a ton of money. So be sure to subscribe, ring that bell so you get a notification every time I release a new video, and hammer that like button for me. That's all I ask in return for making this video. So we got a lot to go over today, so let's get started. I'd like to thank SharkBite for sponsoring this video. They also supplied the material in order to make our water line connections to our shower valve. And the great thing about the SharkBite PEX-a is that it offers more freeze resistance compared to other water lines. It has a 25-year warranty. It can be used in residential or commercial settings. And this is compatible with the SharkBite push-to-connect fittings, which everyone's more familiar with the SharkBite brand in that respect, but they also make PEX Type B, and again, we have PEX Type A now with the expansion sleeves that's going to offer a great seal. If you've seen my previous video that I made in the past installing the PEX Type B made by SharkBite, and I used all the fittings in that video that were made by SharkBite as well. Well, they also offer those same fittings for the PEX Type A made by SharkBite. If you'd like more information on the PEX-a made by SharkBite, I'll place a link in the description below to their website where you can find out all the information you need to know. Along with your basic carpentry tools such as a saw, tape measure, pencil, you're also going to need something to expand your PEX in order to make your connections. So you can use what's called an expansion tool or expander tool that runs off a battery such as this one. When we pull the trigger, as you can see, it expands and it twists a little bit at a time. So by the time you let this run about 7 to 9 times, it expands your expansion sleeve that's going to be on your PEX-a in order to make your connection for you. But you can also get a manual one to where it's going to take manpower to make your expansions happen, and those are going to be more labor intensive. So if you're going to be doing a whole house, I'd recommend just buying a battery operated expansion tool. And along with an expansion tool, you're also going to need something to cut your PEX pipe. I got the one here made by SharkBite, and I'll put a link to it in the description below. And I do earn a small commission at no extra cost to you, and it helps support the channel. But this one's really nice. It just has this thumb lock on it, and then it opens up. Then we can cut our PEX pipe really easy with that. And you can also use a simple ratchet pipe cutter that I've used in the past in my other videos. Whatever works for you, that's what I'd use to cut your PEX pipe with. Here are the supplies that I'm going to use to install the shower valve. This is the PEX Type A made by SharkBite, and it comes in red, white, and blue, the colors of the flag, and each color indicates something. The red indicates hot water, the blue you're going to want to use to indicate cold water, and then the white is just a neutral general color that can be used interchangeably. And in this case, we have to have different fittings to make our installation happen. We have a PEX Type A drop ear, and this drop ear is going to be installed above the shower valve for our shower head. Then we got our expansion sleeves, like I mentioned earlier, that we're going to have to make our connections. And then we got some elbows to elbow into the shower valve. We can also flex this into the shower valve as well, because you can make 90-degree turns with the PEX Type A, and it's very effective that way. But for demonstration purposes, I'm going to be using the elbows to show you how easy it is to make those connections with the SharkBite fittings. And also, here is our shower valve itself. Now this shower valve is made by Delta. It's the multi-choice line, so you can use many different trim kits with this shower valve. And this is the Delta R10000-PFT-MF. And this is a universal tub and shower valve. Here is where we would install the tub spigot. It's actually going to slide right over this copper pipe, and this is going to be cut off, but it's sealed for now in order to allow the pressure test to happen. And also we have our PEX-a connection fittings here, so we don't have to worry about installing special fittings for our PEX-a. It's already on this shower valve. So now that that's out of the way, let's get to installing this shower valve. In order to install the shower valve, we must first know the measurement to the center of our tub drain. Easy way to do that is even before you install the tub, like you see here, we have the tub setting out along with the surround, and that's going to be in the next video, so stay tuned for that, the installation of all this. So we're going to measure from the edge of the tub to the center of the drain, and we got 14.5 inches off our back wall to the center of the drain. So that's going to be the center of our shower valve. Here's where our tub is going to set. We already cut the subfloor out in order to install our drain for our bathtub. And also, this goes for a shower pan as well. You always want to install a shower valve in the center of the drain, no matter how you look at it. So if we measure over 14.5 inches, if you take a look there, here's the center, and then we move the studs over 4 inches from each side, so we have an 8-inch in the middle here. So we like at least 8 inches. You can go clear up to 15 inches or so if you want. So as long as you have a place here in a stud bay to install your shower valve in the direct center, that's really the main thing. The top of the bathtub is 20 inches, and I want the bathtub spigot to be 4 inches above that. So I'm going to measure up 24 inches off the subfloor to be where our spigot's going to come out. So that's an important measurement for me. So I'm going to go ahead and mark that off the subfloor onto the stud. Here's my 24-inch mark I just made. If I hold my shower valve up here to where it's going to be at the right height, I'm going to mark right here to the center of where we need to install our block to support the shower valve. Then we got to install a block here to support the spigot, and then we need one up top to support the shower head. I'm now going to transcribe those measurements to this stud as well. I'm going to measure up 84 inches to mark the center for our drop ear. And I'm going to mark this side as well. Something really important you need to consider before installing your blocking is the thickness of your blocking. And to determine the thickness of your blocking, you need to consider what's going to be for your shower wall. We're going to be installing a shower surround, so it's only thin fiberglass per se, versus a tiled shower that would have, let's say, 1/2-inch cement board followed up with a 1/4-inch tile or something of that nature. It's going to stick out to here compared to a shower surround that's going to be sitting back here. So that's something to consider. So if I measure the thickness that I'll need if I'm going to be installing the shower surround, I'm only going to need about a 1-inch thick lumber to brace this shower valve to, but now the drop ear can be installed on a 2x4 because you got plenty of room there for depending on what you're going to be using for your shower head. But you can use a 2x4 for your drop ear because that's something that's very forgiving because all the shower heads have plenty of room for error there. So, but for the shower valve, make sure you get the right thickness wood before you anchor your shower valve. I'm just going to quickly use my speed square to extend these lines back onto the stud. I'm now going to mark the center onto this block. All right, I'm just going to install this right to the center of where our shower valve is going to be. I'm simply going to use construction screws to put 2 on each side of the block through the stud into the blocking. And of course, I'm going to pre-drill it. For the second block that's going to support this copper pipe, it's going to be in further in the stud space. So I got to place this where it's going to be setting, place that block to where it's touching the back of this copper pipe. Now as you can see, that is a difference that's going to support that copper pipe now once we put a pipe clamp there. So now we're going to secure this block. Now that the blocking below is secured, I'm now installing the block for the drop ear that's going to support the shower head. Now that we got our blocking installed, I'm going to mark the center here in order to install the shower valve. I'm now going to set up my laser level to give me a plumb line and then a level line for the water lines. I'm going to come 1 inch off this block and make a mark, and that is where our water lines are going to have to come through at. And I'm marking it right on that green level line. I'm going to use a 3/4 inch drill bit, just give me plenty of room here for maneuvering the pipe. I'm now going to install the shower valve so that the laser lines are right in the center of it and that everything is sitting nice and level and plumb where it should be. And I'm going to use 1-inch construction screws to anchor the shower valve. I'm going to pop off this plastic cover here. And our screw holes are right here and right here. All right, looks really good. I'm going to use a 1/2 inch tube clamp in order to secure this copper pipe to the board. All right, the valve is now secured. Now we're going to run our water lines to it. While I have the laser level on, I'm going to mark the center for this drop ear. So now we'll be lined up perfectly with the shower valve. I'd like to mention that you don't necessarily need a laser level to do this. You can simply use a 4-foot level to level and plumb everything up, but the laser, as you can see, makes it very easy. I have a 5/8 inch drill bit on, and I'm going to drill right in the center of this wall in this stud space. You don't want to be next to the edge if you can avoid it, because a nail can go in when you're shooting in trim and hit your water line. So we want to stay right in the center here. So I'm just going to stay a few inches back from the stud on each side. I'm now going to take my PEX-a made by SharkBite and place it down through this hole into the crawl space and leave plenty down there so we can make our connections later. And then we're going to cut it off to the right height here. And you can get this in stick form as well, made by SharkBite. But the roll's nice if you have a big project going on. And if I was going to do this whole house right now, how to unroll this whole roll of PEX pipe before I get started. But since I have a smaller job here, I'm just going to pull out some and use it as I go. So we're going to go ahead and get started here by pulling out what we need. I'm now going to fish it right down into that hole. And since it's a 5/8 inch hole, it's going to fit snug around the pipe. And make sure you put the blue for the cold on the right and then the red for the hot on the left. That's just a general rule of thumb with plumbing. Hot's on the left, cold's on the right. To cut the pipe, we simply just place this square onto the pipe where we want it cut and squeeze. And it's going to cut that PEX pipe really easy. These SharkBite pipe cutters are very nice and the way to go. And now we're going to get this about to the right height here where we need it. We're going to install our first fitting. I'm now going to install a 1/2 inch elbow that's meant for PEX-a, and this is made by SharkBite like I mentioned earlier. So we're going to expand the end of this pipe with an expansion sleeve on the end of it in order to hold this elbow onto the pipe. And how it works is really cool. We're simply going to use our expansion tool, place it inside this sleeve after it's on the pipe. It's going to expand the way we need it, and then slide our elbow on and hold it in there for about 10 seconds. So I'm going to zoom in here and show you how to do it. On the expansion sleeve, we have an end that does not have a stop, then the other end has a stop, and we're going to slide it right over the end of that PEX-a pipe. I'm then going to take my expander tool or expansion tool and slide it into the pipe, and we're going to apply pressure on it towards the tool, and we're going to activate the tool at the same time, and it's going to expand it. We want to expand it about 7 times until we're fully expanded before we place on our elbow. And I'm now going to place my elbow into the pipe. I'm now going to allow the expansion sleeve to shrink back down around the elbow. And after this elbow shrinks down all the way in about 10 seconds, we can still pivot the elbow to where we need it even after the expansion sleeve has condensed down all the way. All right, and that's all there is to it. I'm going to make my connection to the shower valve now. And all I have to do here is fish this through the holes that we drilled on the side. And we're going to install the expansion sleeve on and then get it placed onto our shower valve. And as easy as that, we have it connected to our shower valve, and it's just so easy to run this PEX-a, it's not even funny. So now we're going to make our connection with our elbow to here, and we got to cut it to length. I'm going to hold this up here to where it needs cut at. So that looks about right there. So we're going to cut it to the right length. Now we're going to make our connection. And then hold it for about 10 seconds. And if it's colder, it may take longer than 10 seconds because this pipe has memory in it, and so does the sleeve. So it just, over time, starts shrinking back to its original shape, and that's how we get a watertight seal. So pretty cool technology. So it looks like we are good to go there. The hot side, we'll have to expand it in a different sequence, but it's going to be the same idea. And I'd like to mention, like I said earlier, we don't necessarily have to put an elbow here. We could flex it right into the side towards that valve, but I just wanted to show the extra elbow step because some people are going to feel more comfortable doing that. I'm just holding it up and eyeballing the length that we need here, because we're going to have it pre-cut for this sequence. I'm now going to dry fit through here to see what we got. Yep, looks like it'll slide through there. And voila, as you can see, we got our water supplies going to the valve. For the line going up to the drop ear, I'm going to go ahead and pre-cut the length for what we need, and then we're going to secure the drop ear right to that block. Connect this side of the water line to this part of the shower valve. Connect the other side to the drop ear. If you're curious to what a drop ear looks like, it has a 1/2 inch FNPT threaded opening for your shower head, and then this one has the PEX-a connection here, and we secure it with screws through each one of these ears that have the holes in it. I'm now going to attach the drop ear to the other end of this water line. Now we're just going to hold this right up where it's to be installed, right in the center, and we're going to place a screw. In order to seal the drop ear for the pressure test, I'm going to place a plug here, and I'm going to place Teflon around the plug first on the threads before installing it into the drop ear. We're now sealed at the drop ear for the pressure test. I'd like to point out these holes are for the trim kit after the tub surround's installed, one of your final steps to the installation. So that's what those holes are for if you're wondering. And now I'm going to reinstall this plastic guard over this valve. And that's all there is to that. In the crawl space, we have CPVC ran, and we're going to have to transition from the CPVC to the PEX-a. And I'm going to be using these SharkBite Max couplings, and it's going to slide on to one end of a piece of CPVC on the cold side, then one on the hot, and then we're going to slide our PEX-a into this. So we're going to transition from CPVC to the PEX-a using SharkBite Max fittings. Here's the CPVC I'm going to connect to for the hot. I already marked 1 inch here on the CPVC, so I know that's how deep I got to place the SharkBite Max fitting. So I'm going to go ahead and slide this onto the CPVC now. And it's as simple as sliding it on. Because we made our reference mark, it's covered up now, so we know it's on all the way. Now I'm going to flex the PEX-a into here. Again, you can bend PEX-a, which is really nice, and PEX in general. So I'm going to insert it now. Be sure to always deburr your pipe and mark your insertion depth before placing on the SharkBite Max fitting for the proper installation. And as you can see, very simple transition from CPVC to PEX-a. Now I'm going to do the same to the cold side. Here is my 1 inch mark. I'm going to slide the SharkBite Max right into that. And now I'm going to cut this PEX-a to length because it's a little longer than I need. Now I'm going to slide it into the SharkBite. Now that the connections are made, I transitioned from CPVC to PEX-a, and this could work for PEX-b as well, to transition using the SharkBite Max fittings. We're now going to pressure test the system. Now that all the pressure lines are installed and sealed, I simply add pressure up to 100 pounds into this gauge using an air compressor, and actually have SharkBite connections to the gauge and the valve stem. And I'm back here the next day and it looks like our pressure is still good, so we have passed our pressure test. If you'd like to see how I'm going to install this bathtub and shower surround, check out this video. It'll help you out.